Welcome back, everyone. Let me just fix that real quick. There we go. On to the next part of our video. So right now, as you can see by some of the parts on this table, we are going to be soldering an Arctic tracker, but not any regular old Arctic tracker. This Arctic tracker is using the new MOFLAB LSM6DSV IMU. And the reason why I decided to go with this today is because, unfortunately, the official B&O slimes have been discontinued, and I've been trying to find an alternative to that so I can continue to make these and sell them at pop-up markets and stuff like that. So LSM, while it is experimental, was one of the recommended options from the SlimeVR team. To complement it, because I want to make this a cool tracker, I overnighted, I hope this is the right one, a USB-C Wemos board, or an ESP328266 module, which is what it's also known as. Let me just check something. Sorry, this is something I've been paranoid ever since I got the ESP32 modules. I'm gonna crack open a micro USB one, just to compare the undersides, because I'm like, that seems a bit empty, but no. Or actually, it is slightly different. But I think that's just on account of power voltage differences between micro USB and USB-C. Aside from that, these two look the same. So I'm just going to put you back in here. Okay. So we are going to be working with a USB-C Wemos board, an LSM6DSV module, an Arctic... Let me get rid of that piece of hot glue. A regular Arctic tracker as opposed to the Arctic XL tracker, which uses different batteries that are more easily accessible because they're found in vape shops, which I can't remember the code of off the top of my head. We got resistors, diodes around here somewhere, and a little battery compartment for our battery. So the way I like to do this, at least, is save this for last, because I've unfortunately had projects where I've messed up some of the boards, and then as a result, just messed up the entire project. Because I think with you actually don't cover. Yeah, you don't cover. GB3. Oh, this is interesting. So you would be going on like that. Oh, you little... There. This is so weird. Because 3v3, 3v3, ground to ground, SEL to SEL, SCA to SCA. And then instead of ADO, it's CS. Then INC to SAO. I don't know. These don't quite match. The only other thing I have to do today, if I want to, is the Babel module, because I accidentally wired it in series instead of parallel. You know what I say? Let's start with the Wemos board and then go from there. Because then we can solder on the switch, the resistor and diode, and then that. Like, this isn't a hard, like, it's curse of knowledge, and I know that. First things first, you're going to want to get your little pins organized before putting in your Wemos D1 mini module. Just make sure those slide nice and evenly onto each of the pins. Then you're going to want to take this and grab that. But something with this, I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, is there's a slight gap in between the board and the pins. So we're going to have to do some finagling to make it flush. And then I'm just going to get one more. You basically just want to have this pressed down from like as many angles as you can, just so you can get something that's close to flush. Is it perfect? No. Is it good enough for what we're doing? Yeah. Okay, so then I just gotta like kick them out. Kick out. And kick out. I didn't think this through, did I? Because these are supposed to be on upside down. Okay, what is going on here? There we go. Okay. And we're still good. Perfect. Let's fire up the soldering iron. Grab some solder and hop right on into this. I'm going to start on the other side, actually. Let's not bridge a connection. Man, this thing's just wanting to go wherever. Wondering if that's just my hair that's like burning on the soldering iron. Maybe. Yep, that smells like burnt hair. Or that or heat shrink. I think that can just wipe off, right? Or is that just there forever? Oh well. There we go. Now onto the other side. I will say, the smaller the solder you have, the easier this is going to be. I just picked this stuff up from Canadian Tire, just because I ran out. Not my cleanest soldering job, but it gets the job done. Okay. Like, the way I approach this is I literally do everything before the IMU and battery. Those are the either most expensive and hardest to get or biggest components on the board. There. Like, the way I'm doing this is just applying the tiniest amount of solder possible. Because even then, sometimes it's just a little too much. And if you do apply a little too much, you can just clean it up by heating it up with the solder iron and just swiping it off. Or if you add a lot too much like I just did. Fun fact, heat is hot. I just put my index finger on the screw to the soldering iron. And oh boy, I was very quickly reminded that this thing is about 420 degrees. The annoying thing about soldering sometimes is you get a little bit of flux that just bursts and hits you in the finger. Honestly, it's not the end of the world, though. Just a little ouchie. That's just flux, but that scared me to my core for a second. There we go. And that's our ESP8266 module soldered. Next up, let's say resistor and diode, just to get, yeah, resistor, diode, and switch, just to get the small parts out of the way. The most annoying thing about these resistors is it's either too short on one side or too long on the other. There we go. Yeah, I'm hoping I can just wipe off that excess flux. Let it chill for a sec. Literally and figuratively. You know what? Sure. Alright, next up is the diode. Oh, whoops. Yeah, let's just keep that zoomed out. Because it's nice to have a close-up, but like I'm missing so much from that camera. These are directional, unlike the resistors. But it's marked on the board, so it's like if you get lost, it sort of points you in the right direction. Okay, and switch. And this is where things get a little bit tricky. Because the way I usually solder it is like catch it on the underside of it. So like I gotta do something almost like this. And sorry for no camera being able to see anything yet again. But you just gotta get like underneath it so you can get a single point. Or actually, you can see it if I do this. Or at least from you. Make sure that's like as flush as it'll be. And you just want to get underneath it so you can get the other stuff. And once you aren't able to move it with your finger or like nudge it around so much, you just got to get like one pin roughly soldered. And then you can go back, and then you go back underneath. I said because of how much flux staining there is. Then you can go underneath and get the rest of it. Last one. Yeah, I can scrape that off. It's fine. Okay. Wow, we're actually down to the last two components. How time flies when we have fun here. Next up, let's save the battery holder for last. No, we're saving the IMU for last because battery holders are like 50 cents. You are like $16. Oh, right, I remember. Please don't do that to me. There. Okay, good. There's a little black stub on the bottom of one of these I gotta clean up. Where did I put... That's weird. I thought... Hang on. Found him. You go back in there. Okay, you're broken. Which is why we test these things before putting in the expensive IMU. I have a backup. Just give me a sec. Okay. So, let's try this again. We cut off that. And make sure you don't get positive and negative mixed around like I accidentally did with one of my first ones. There we go. Get the little things pointing out the other side. And now, we can just solder both of those right on there. And the other. Perfect. Let me actually just give this a little bit more. Just for some support. Alrighty. Now, that leaves us with the last piece here today, which is the LSM6DSV IMU. I may have to grab, actually. You know, I can grab this one and use some other pin stuff later. How much do you need? Okay, so we just cut off the last one. Now, this is my first time ever making an LSM slime tracker. So we'll see how this goes, I suppose. But this one's going to be a little different. I'm going to be real. Because with the other Arctic trackers I built, I was just using one of these black header pins across the whole way because a B&O IMU covers that whole section there. But this doesn't. This is more along the size of like a BMI 270. So I'm going to have to do something a little sketchy. Do something that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it will be done. We're going to have to do the same thing as the IMU, basically, where we flip this upside down and solder the rear. But this time, we're actually going to have to... Okay. So, this is a bit of a predicament because, again, I've never soldered one of these. So, I could either take the road that's like labeled and do it on this side, or just take a chance and do it on the other side and hope for the best. How are we doing? Alrighty. I say let's do it. If it doesn't work, then we're gonna have our first video on how to fix an LSM Arctic tracker. Now you basically just have to play an annoying game of how much can I pull off before I break. And today, the PCB gods have decided it is my lucky day, hopefully. Don't count your eggs before they're hatched. There we go. Now that we have our pins flushed like that, without the little plastic stuff, now we can solder this, the last piece. Okay, then. There we go. And with that, we have our very first Arctic LSM tracker done. Let's see if we can power this thing on. Woo! Hell yeah! Alrighty. Now the last thing for us to do here is just to cut off some of the excess. And then we are done. I mean, yeah, they're messy, but, like, it's fine. Or messy, not messy in the soldering sense, messy in the flux that's everywhere sense. Oh, I should fucking turn that off. Just so I don't bridge a connection. There we go. Our very first Arctic LSM slime tracker. Actually, you know what? Hang on. Voila. I'll let you know if this works later, or if I had to do it on the other ones. This is cool, though. first LSM slime. And as we are nearly 2.5 hours into the stream, I think this is a good place to call it since it's basically 11 p.m. To those of you who have joined me this evening, thank you very much. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. This has been Milsey. Have a good one.